It was supposed to be a routine call. A small structure fire in downtown Los Angeles. Something the busy firefighters of Station 9 handled every day. But what began as a standard response would transform into one of the most harrowing incidents in LAFD history, changing the lives of 11 firefighters forever. On the roof of a burning building, a combination of illegal storage, hazardous materials, and a rapidly deteriorating situation will turn a typical Sunday evening into a desperate fight to escape.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up!
As evening rolled in on Saturday, May 16, 2020, the firefighters at Fire Station 9 in Skid Row were just having what felt like a regular day. Situated in downtown Los Angeles, Station 9 is the busiest firehouse in the U.S., handling around 100 emergency calls every day. Captain Scott Barkley was on shift that day with 18 other firefighters. The station had a special bond built through the constant pressure of being the busiest. The crew had just wrapped up dinner and were playing a game to see who would do the dishes. A fun station tradition. Captain Barkley rolled snake eyes and got stuck with dish duty, which made everyone chuckle. Just as he was making his way to the sink, the alarm rang out.
Rescue 209 on 9. You've been attached to the structure fire 327 Boyd.
The team from Station 9 put on their gear and jumped into their trucks. Rescue 209 and other units were also called to the scene. The first firefighting units arrived on scene within 4 minutes of the call. Captain Barkley and his team spotted light to moderate smoke coming from a one-story commercial building in a place locals call Bong Road, a district filled with shops selling smoking products, glassware, and butane canisters. They thought they knew what was happening, and it seemed like a routine call-out. As firefighters tried to get into the building through the rolling steel doors, they ran into some issues. The first door they had opened revealed storage racks stuffed all the way to the ceiling, blocking their way in. We're trying to find an entrance. It's going to be really hard for us to get in. We got a moderate amount of smoke right now coming out of the side. They opened a nearby door and found a narrow hallway about 4 to 5 feet wide. It was so tight that they had to pass through it one by one. While some firefighters entered the building, Captain Barkley took a crew up to the roof to start ventilating the smoke. The roof team assessed the situation and noticed moderate fumes, almost white in color, billowing from the back of the building. At around 6:45 p.m., fully decked out in helmets and safety gear, the upper team began ventilation work. They got to about the 75-yard line of the building and made their first ventilation hole, or keyhole. One firefighter on the top spotted something odd about the smoke coming from the ventilation hole. He said it looked like a wavy, distorted kind of smoke condition, similar to what you see behind a jet engine over hot asphalt. Despite the strange behavior, no one called for an evacuation at this point. Another firefighter glanced toward the back of the building and noticed flames shooting out sideways instead of rising up like they usually do. Back at the scene, conditions were rapidly deteriorating both inside and on the roof. Firefighters inside had made it about 3 to 4.5 meters past the entrance when they came across a ladder with just a 2-foot gap to get through. They realized that if something went wrong and they needed to get out fast, this would be a problem. Using a pike pole, they found a mezzanine above them. Then, out of nowhere, visibility dropped dramatically. The smoke changed from brownish and cold, hanging below their eye lines, to completely black, like something had slammed a door behind them. At about 6:57 p.m., they started to hear a rumbling noise, which some first thought was just the roof team stomping around. Then they heard popping sounds that were like little Chinese firecrackers. The popping got louder and more frequent over the next 30 to 60 seconds. By 7 p.m., the building started to vibrate and sway. Captain Barkley, still on the roof, said it felt like standing directly under a roller coaster as it goes by you, but it's just not stopping. Inside, the heat intensified dramatically.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up!
Exposure on the delta side.
Back up! Back up! Back up for me!
The popping sounds became extremely loud, describing as sounding like the space shuttle or a freight train. At 7:01 p.m., an explosion occurred inside the building. A massive fireball erupted through the structure, engulfing firefighters both inside and on the roof. Geraldine Cleveland, watching from her apartment 3 blocks away, saw the explosion clearly. "Everyone in my building thought there was a bomb that went off," she later recalled. "It was like a mushroom." The explosion was so intense that it blackened a fire engine parked across the street and melted the responders' helmets. The blazing heat burned right through their protective coats and hoods. Captain Barkley and the roof team were getting ready to evacuate when everything flashed. Those inside got knocked to their hands and knees by the force and heat. Firefighters inside the building ran into the ladder that was in their path. Now even worse because it was stuck at a 45-degree angle and completely blocking their exit. Crouching in the hallway, one crew member tried to move it, but badly burned his back when he stood up. On the roof, Captain Barkley urged his team to get to the aerial ladder that had been moved into place by a fire truck in the street below and escape. "Come on, let's move," he shouted, pushing them towards it. The problem was that the ladder was on fire. Some firefighters were frightened, finding it hard to move. Others, overcome with adrenaline, just ran and jumped onto the aerial ladder. As they tried to climb down the aerial ladder, the firefighters looked down to see flames coming out from the front of the building directly below them. "I looked at myself and everything is, just completely on fire. You know, my hands, my arms, my facepiece, my helmet." Captain Barkley and his crew were facing a terrifying situation. They were stuck on the aerial ladder with fire all around them. Then there was a second explosion, and another fireball completely engulfed the team. A firefighter on the aerial ladder tried to pull himself down, but found his axe wedged between the sections of the ladder, trapping him. He said it felt like there was 300 pounds to him, stopping him from moving. Some firefighters thought about jumping from the ladder, but noticed there was fire all the way down to the street. One closed his eyes and started praying, begging God to stop the pain. At 7:04 p.m., a mayday call went out over the radio.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. All companies off out of the building. Mayday, mayday, mayday. All companies have a mayday situation.
Crew members who had already made it off the aerial ladder rushed back to assist their trapped colleagues. Captain Barkley was pulled headfirst down the aerial ladder with such force that his equipment came loose. Another firefighter mentioned being dangling upside down on the truck after someone grabbed his foot to stop him from falling. Inside the building, firefighters were crawling over each other trying to get out. Some Engine 9 members were forced to crawl up onto the storage racks to escape. The scene outside was chaotic, with injured personnel scattered on the ground. I'm literally crawling in the street now and I'm looking around and it's a ghost town. Nobody's around. Please, somebody just spray water on me, like my head is on fire. My arms are on fire. An engineer from Engine 9, Scott Brennan, grabbed a hose line and began watering down injured teammates. The radiant heat from the fire was so intense, it ignited homeless tents on the sidewalk across the street. By 7:10 p.m., the situation was critical.
Mayday, from Engine 9. I have 2 down firefighters in front of truck 9. 5 feet from Engine 9. I have 6 firefighters down on the front opposite side of the building. We need help.
Ambulances started taking injured firefighters to the hospital. By 8:08 p.m., the major emergency blaze was declared extinguished, 1 hour and 42 minutes after it was first reported. Over 230 LAFD firefighters had responded to tackle the fire. Investigators began examining the scene to figure out what caused the fire. They found out it was a business called Smoke Toques, a warehouse that dealt with supplies for butane honey oil. In the days and weeks that followed, investigators conducted over 60 interviews with firefighters involved in the incident and sifted through the wreckage of the burnt-out building. They determined that the explosion was caused by nitrous oxide whippets and butane canisters stored in the building. The structure was divided into 2 sections with a partition wall that wasn't fire-blocked, which helped the fire spread. Unit A contained ordinary combustibles, while Unit B was filled with pallets of nitrous oxide whippets and butane canisters. The nitrous oxide began to off-gas at approximately 106 degrees Fahrenheit, which created a quick oxidation that, when mixed with the butane, led to explosions. The narrow building acted like a nozzle for the flames, making the fire even more intense. All 11 injured responders were taken to LAC-USC Medical Center. At the hospital, 3 of them were in critical but stable condition, and 2 were placed on ventilators to help with their breathing. Captain Barkley was one of the seriously injured. Many of the injured firefighters, including Captain Barkley, had to go through multiple surgeries and faced long recoveries. One responder reported having had 25 surgeries already, with more to come. Firefighters struggled with both physical injuries and PTSD from the incident. The 2020 Boyd Street fire stands as one of the most dramatic incidents in LAFD history. 11 firefighters were injured, but thankfully, all of them survived, although many suffered life-changing injuries. Captain Barkley and his team demonstrated extraordinary courage in the face of a rapidly deteriorating situation. Their training, equipment, and quick thinking meant they managed to avoid what could have been an even more tragic situation. The LAFD has put out new policies in place about when fire crews should wear face pieces and go on air, as this protective equipment likely saved lives during the Boyd Street fire. For witnesses like Geraldine Cleveland, the incident provided a rare glimpse into the dangers firefighters face. From her rooftop vantage point, she saw firsthand how quickly a routine call can turn into a life-threatening emergency. If you found this video interesting, please consider subscribing. It's helping a lot.